Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I'm Jeannie Nielsen, the card lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. You might also know me as Stamping with Jeannie. I have a blog that I'm not very good at keeping up, and I have a, which is my website as well. And I have an Instagram page, which I'm also not very good at keeping up, but anyway, I'm excited to be here today. I am going to talk to you about sunrise sailing. This was a special request. I had a couple of team members here, as well as customers, for a card class today, and they both mentioned that they had bought the sunrise sailing and they wished to see some cards with sunrise sailing. The reason they could say that was because I have been struggling today. I'm like, how in the world am I going to figure out what to do for I'm just going to try, no, it's going to stay there. Anyway, I have a little flag there that's in my way, but anyway, so welcome to my Facebook Live. I'm very excited. So today I'm going to talk about sunrise sailing. I just said that. Sunrise Sailing is a stamp set, which is an online exclusive. It was pre-order for demonstrators. It has stamps, it has dies, and it has a hybrid embossing folder. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, but wait till you see the 3 cards that I came up with today. Oh, and you know what? That reminds me. When I finish, I have to show you the last card that inspired it. But anyway, Sunrise Sailing, let's get right to the cards. I'm so excited to see you. Tell me where you are. Tell me what the weather's like by you. For those of you in Linfield, it is not raining right now, but it's drizzly and dark and damp and yucky. It's cold. I actually had to go out with a jacket. And on Saturday, it was 80 degrees, so you never know. Never know in New England. Okay, I am going to flip up to flip down, and we're going to get going on these cards. Wait till you see them. Okay, here we go. Up we go. And let's go down. There we go. So you see the stamp set, Sunrise Sailing. It has 12 stamps in it. It has some great sentiments. Congratulations, you deserve the best. Best wishes. You're destined for great things. Ahoy and happy retirement. I really like the happy retirement because there aren't a whole lot of retirement stamps that we have right now, right? I didn't end up using it because I don't know anybody right now, especially somebody that loves the water that's retiring. Everybody has either retired already or, yeah, they've retired already or they're nowhere close like me. So it has this hybrid embossing folder. And the really neat thing about a hybrid embossing folder is that you can die cut and emboss at the same time. This is one of the dies. Hopefully you can see me. I'm going to go down a little bit more so you can see a little bit better. There we go. Let's go like that. Okay. So it has a die, and this die, if I put it in there, you'll know it matches up, and it snaps in place. Once it's there, I can't move it. It's really, really cool. So I put the die in there, and then you put the paper here. If it doesn't matter what it looks like, I think I would probably use like a painter's tape or washi tape to hold your paper so it's not going to slide. And then you put your paper in here, you die cut and emboss at the same time. I'm going to show you some cards done with that in a second. I guess I'll start right with the first card. You know what? I'm going to start with the card that inspired all of this. Let me go get it because it's a card that I decided would not be great for a card class because it'll take you forever. I did this tri-fold card, and someday I'll do it, but not with this stamp set. Look at this card. Isn't that fabulous? It goes like this, fits in a regular envelope. You'll see that I stamped and die cut this one. I embossed this layer. I used some blending brushes to add some color. The whole idea behind this card was that I was going to do a card that used all the in colors. So this card right here, the base is Secret Sea. This card layer is called Cloud Cover. And if you're a demonstrator, you can get the ink pads tomorrow. They're not releasing it to customers because they're not happy with the quality, but they have a bunch of ink pads available to demonstrators, and demonstrators, I guess, could probably choose if they were going to sell it to you or not. But anyway, there's no limit on that, but I don't know if I'm going to end up getting it or not. We'll see. This, I use strawberry slush right over here. This sun is die cut with the Spotlight on Nature dies, and this is Darling Duckling. Of course, we've got Timid Tiger at the bottom with our congratulations. And then here you see the best part of the whole card. I did this card, and I started by brushing on Secret Sea, then some Darling Duckling, then I did some Timid Tiger, some Strawberry Slush, and I'm going to show you how I added cloud cover at the top. But anyway, so this is the card that inspired all the cards, and then I decided that I had to switch them up a little bit because it's way too much for one card. This is 3 cards right here. Okay, so let me put this off to the side, and let's show you the first card. And the first card was inspired by this card layer right here. So I have here, I decided, and you'll see when I get to the other cards why I decided to go with Azure Afternoon for the layer and Ahoy. Let me just get to the card, okay? So here we have our card base, 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And this, I just realized that I left my bone folder on the table over there. That's okay, we'll get to it in a second. 4 1/4 by 11 inches. I scored it at 5 1/2, and again at 2 3/4. And we're going to make it an easel card. And I just realized I never ever did make it into an easel card, but that is essentially what I intended to do. So by card class on Thursday, it will be an easel card. Maybe the Ahoy should have gone in here. I don't know. I'll probably put a congratulations down there, the long sentiment that you'll see in just a second. But let's get to this card. So it's scored, like I said, at 5 1/2 and 2 3/4. And you're going to want to burnish both of these folds. So I've already burnished the 5 1/2. It's actually been sitting in my card drawer waiting to be used, and I'm going to burnish this layer too. And both of them are going to be the mountain fold. They're going to be standing up like that. Okay, the reason I ended up doing a layer with Azure Afternoon, and this is the same as the front layer, it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, okay? And we're going to glue that to the front just like that. But let me show you the next part. I have here a, this is cut, this is from, it's not, this is from Pool Party. I didn't do it from, I didn't end up doing it from cloud cover because I've already got a few cards with cloud cover. So this is Pool Party. All of a sudden I'm forgetting what I'm doing here. This is the largest arch from the Everyday Arches die set. When this is available, I would recommend that you get this because it is just a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous die set for whatever you could use. And you'll see here, I used it both on this layer and then I used it for the label here too. And I've seen that used over and over. This is going to go inside our embossing folder, not with the die. Let's get rid of that. You're going to put this wherever you want in the embossing folder. And this is something that you'll do in card class. You're going to choose where you want it to go. It could be off to the left. It could be off to the right, whatever you want to do. I ended up, you'll see with this one, oh, maybe that's not the card. With here, there's a cloud down here. I didn't care for that. So when I embossed it this time, I made sure that the cloud wasn't there. Okay. So, by the magic of television, I've already embossed this. Isn't that so cool? Now, it takes up almost the whole scene. And I'll tell you what we're going to do next. Let's move this out of the way. We'll put that together in a second. I ended up, let me get my scrap paper here. Definitely need some scrap paper for all of this that we're going to be doing a lot of blending brush stuff today. Okay, so first of all, let me get all my inks. I have Azure Afternoon because what we're going to do first is add some color with the Azure Afternoon and the blender brush. Yes, once again, I left everything off to the side, but I'm good now. Okay, Azure Afternoon, I decided it needed to be a bright sunny day because when you saw this card here, it kind of looks kind of gray and dark, doesn't it? Not this one. This is beautiful. Maybe that's not bad either, but the sky with cloud cover, it looks like a cloudy day. I didn't want that. So I've got my blue blending brush. If I was smart, I'd probably put on my handle that this is blue, but for the most part, I can tell. I'm just going to add some ink, just like that. And I always dab off because I want to make sure that I'm not going to concentrate ink too much. But what I'm going to do is just rub back and forth, just like this. This is going to be a nice, happy C, just like that. We're going to rub back and forth. Don't worry about if you get it on your boat because we're going to be covering that up anyway. So I'm just going to keep adding a little bit more. Just like that. Beautiful. And that's all there is to it. So you're going to have your arches that you just have to emboss, then you add some color. The next thing I'm going to do is add some basic white. So of course with basic white, that means you have to have the craft ink. And craft ink is going to cover up, there's no white ink that you can use that would do a good job. And you can see I didn't even finish inking it up, but there's enough ink in there that it's going to work. I have just this little brush here, my little blending brush, and I've decided that's going to give me enough color here. So we've got that. I'm just adding some white, and I can even add it to the sky if I want to. Here we go. We're just adding it just like that. Don't do too much because then you'll have to use your heat tool to set it because this is crafting. So of course that means it doesn't do as good of a job of drying. But look at that. So there we go. Okay, now we're going to get to the fun part. I have already taken my hybrid embossing folder and I've already die cut and stamped. No, I've already die cut and embossed my white layer. So I've got that right here. So let me put this off to the side. We're not going to use that right now. What I'm going to do is take some basic brown, which is early espresso. There's no such thing as basic brown anymore. I think there used to be a color like that. But anyway, I'm going to take that and I am going to stamp my boat with that stamp. And where did that stamp go? Oh, I don't know. Where did that stamp go? My goodness. I probably have it in another bin. Hang on one second while I look through all my bins for all of them. Of course not. That would be too easy. I was going to stamp the outline here. We're going to have to just go with this that I can show you. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the Azure Afternoon. And you could also do the Poppy Parade for that matter. My goodness, I should just start over. Oh, here it is, right here. Early Espresso. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to ink it up. And I've already die cut and embossed this. So I'm pretty much going to be able to see. And I think I might actually use the back of my blue so I can see where I'm stamping. You're going to want a nice dark color. My stamp pad would work too. And I'm going to do my best to get it right where I want it. And that may or may not happen. Well, it's a little off, but that's the idea. And it's not terrible if I could always take my espresso marker and just draw a little bit straighter there, right? Okay, so now I'm going to put the stripes, just like I did on here. I'm going to put the stripes on my sailboat sails. So this is the stamp for the stripes. And they fit kind of nicely. You just figure out where they fit within those lines that you just stamped. That's kind of why you have to do the, trying to figure out right there. That looks about right. You have to figure out where, yeah, that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good, right? Let me put that back in here, and I can put the Azure Afternoon away for now. And what I'm going to do next, I also embossed and die cut an early espresso layer. And that one is right here. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I decided, because I've stamped the brown, I don't need the whole thing. But initially, that's what I started by doing. I'm going to take my paper snips here, and I'm just going to snip off this bottom layer, or top layer. We don't need that anymore. We're going to glue that right onto the bottom there, just like that. And I meant to get the espresso marker because I wanted to show you something that I was thinking. Okay, so I'm just going to glue that onto, let's move that out of the way. I don't have my silicone mat here because I used it in class and I left it on the table. I had class today. We're working on the Thankful Garden. I wanted to show you something that I want to do with this. So you see how you can see a lot of the white there. And let's show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take my espresso marker. First of all, I told you that I was going to kind of draw this a little bit straighter. What in the world? I was not straight at all. Not straight at all, but you can't see that from a distance, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But what I was thinking is, I'm going to use the brush tip here, and I'm going to add this around the bottom to my white layer that's underneath, just so it doesn't look so white. I'm just taking the pen and just going around, and that's it. And that only took a second, right? And that gets rid of most of the white. You can't see that. So what I'm going to do next is add this here. I could pop it up if I wanted to. Yeah, let's pop it up. Let's pop it up. I'm going to have to use some of my my outsides because I don't have the big dimensionals. I have tons of them, but when it comes to doing my online stuff, I have put them in another part of the room because I'm running out everywhere. You know, I don't believe that there's really 100 dimensionals per sheet. Do you guys feel that way too? Boy, oh boy, it's impossible to keep up. We go through these dimensionals so quickly. Good for sales though, I guess, right? Because we always need them. And I'm just adding what I call the bones to the back here. And I am going to pop this up just like that. There we go. So we've got our white there. You'll see what I did here on this one. I added some birds, the gold birds. I thought it needed a little something because it was a little dark. But we do have, and let me see if I can find it in all of my stamping stuff here because I've got so much going on. I have just about every stamp here on the table. I'm going to stamp this. Maybe I'll stamp it with Memento. I'm going to stamp the birds off to the side. And oh, you know what I was going to do too? There are some birds. I don't know if you can see them. There's some birds right there. You can kind of see them. You could use your marker. And good news, there is a journaling marker coming out in the new catalog. It's one of the things that's on my list to get. So I could have a black marker there. Since my birds there are black, I'm going to brown. I'm going to stamp with the early espresso here too. And we'll just stamp it off over here to the side. There we go. So now we've got our 3 birds, our sets of 3. I cut out one of the arches right here. And this was just so blah that I decided we were going to stamp with Poppy Parade. So I have some Poppy Parade here. And I'm going to stamp Ahoy just like I did. And then I went searching through all of my embellishments and I couldn't find Real Red until I realized that our peppermint, there we go, Ahoy, all set. Our peppermint embellishments have not gone away. I think they're in the catalog, but if they're not in the catalog, they're online exclusive. So I pulled out my peppermint embellishments because I feel like red and white it just screams sailing, doesn't it? I'm going to put a couple of embellishments here. We'll put one over there. Then I used a little one down over here. We can put even a medium-sized one since I've got that too. We're going to put a medium-sized one down there. And probably I should have stamped with real red because these embellishments are red rather than Poppy Parade, but I just wanted something nice and bright. Okay, let's finish putting together the card, which is only going to take another second. This is the easiest part of the card. Okay, what we're going to do is add our adhesive to the bottom here. So I got my glue, my green glue, which I love. And what I'm going to do is line up this Azure Afternoon layer with that. Perfectly lined up, just like that. And then I'll be able to, you know what, instead of putting the Ahoy at the bottom, let's put it inside so that we can hold up our easel card, okay? Let me attach this. It is still a little blah. Maybe if we didn't want to do the Azure Afternoon, maybe we could stamp the sails with some red if you wanted to give this card a little bit more color. But I'm going to directly attach this layer, this whole thing, to my Azure Afternoon because it's the Azure Afternoon that's halfway attached that's going to, it just needs a little more color and I just don't know how to do that. Just don't know how. But we will put, I am going to, let me get a white layer for the inside. Oh, there's my Christmas clock. The 5 and the 6 o'clock ones are the longest, of course, because that's when I go online. I'm going to just attach this inside. I could put anything else there too, but I want the Ahoy to be, and then maybe we could put the congratulations on the front with some red, you know, but I want to use this layer to pop us up. So let's do that. I'm going to add some dimensionals to the back. This is the last of the outside of my big dimensionals, so we're going to have to use a couple of small ones. Just so you can see, all I'm doing is adding some dimensionals here. Sorry if I went off camera for a second. So this is what we're going to do. We are going to put this like right here, right on the edge, and we're going to pop that up just like that. And this is now going to be our easel card, just like that. You know what I would do next time? And maybe I can still do it. Hang on a second. There is some water. Yep, sorry. I'm going to peel this off for a second. We have a water stamp. I'm just going to stamp the water with Azure Afternoon again. So there's 2 stamps in this stamp set. One is like this and one is like a squiggle, almost like a concentrated puddle, right? You're going to see how I use that in just a second for another card. But let's add this just to the inside. I'm just going to stamp that right there, just like that, because it needs a little something. And then we can pop this up right there. There we go. What do you think? It still needs something here, and I'm thinking we could do a nice long, here. Remember we used, oh, you can't see that one yet. That's going to be coming in a second. This one, the congratulations. We could do that right along the bottom, maybe stamped in Poppy Parade. Maybe it could be red and we could emboss it with white. We could do all sorts of things. So I'll figure that out by Thursday. But this is the first card, okay? So it's an easel card, really, really simple and easy to do. So let me get my stuff out of the way. And that was the end of that card, thank goodness, because boy, do I seem to have a hard time with that, right? We'll figure out what to do to add some color. Let me put that off to the side, and then we're going to pull out card number 2. Card number 2 is inspired by this card right here. And what it is a fancy fold card. It's called a... it's a gatefold card, but it's a fancy name for a gatefold card. Let's see. It's called a Unique Gatefold Card. I have a book full of fancy fold ideas, and this is just one that I decided I loved. So that's where this one comes in, okay? So let's make this card. It's really not that hard. It's just some fancy folds. Hence the name, a fancy fold card, right? Okay, so this is again a card using the cloud cover cardstock, the new in color cloud cover. I felt like it was a little bit blah the way it was, so I've added a little bit of extras to it just to make it look a little bit brighter, right? I do like cloud cover. It definitely has its place. But if it wasn't an in color, I probably would have used Pool Party or something like that, or maybe even, could have been Azure Afternoon. It could have been another pretty card using that, or Balmy Blue. Okay, so let me tell you how this works. We are going to start with a piece of paper here. Let me get all my pieces here. I have here a piece of basic white, and this basic white is 5 1/4 inches by, and I have to get my scoreboard. You know, this is what happens when I am not inspired and I have to come up with an idea quick, right? I leave everything on the table. Now you know what my craft room looks like on the other side when I'm not doing this, right? 5 1/4 by 11 inches. And we are going to score this. It's very, very easy scores. We are going to score it at 3 1/2 and 1 3/4 on each side. And that's going to give us an equal part in the middle, 3 1/2, 1 3/4 and 3 1/2 on each side. And that gives us an inside measurement of 4 inches. So we're going to use all 11 inches. So it's more than half a sheet of cardstock because it's 5 1/4 inches long. But this is going to fit in a regular envelope again. Let me move my scoreboard. I love my scoreboard. And you're going to want to burnish these folds. So this is what we're going to do next. We are going to fold them in. And yes, I scored them all the same. So some of them are going to look, are supposed to be mountain folds and some are valley. But this is how it works. We're going to fold this side back, just like that. And we're going to do that again on this side. Let me fold this in, just like that. Just like that, nice and burnished, and then we're going to fold this side back. Oh. There's either another dog or UPS outside. Okay, so now we have 2 faces. Instead of having our card, because it's going to be a gatefold card and it's going to open like this, you can't have a whole card front. You have to have it as a front layer and a back layer. So this is the cloud cover again. And this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. So it's a regular card base size. And what we're going to do is attach this solid white to the back of one. So let me do that first. I'm going to attach that right here, and I'm going to center it. This is probably the hardest part, doing the gluing and having it not move because it's, there we go. I don't want it to move. So I'm going to keep it closed, and I'm going to center it top and bottom, left and right. And that's how we do that, okay? So the white goes to the back, just like that. See that? Okay, now what I'm going to do next is attach this, not yet. We're gonna stamp first. What am I thinking? Let's decorate the front first. But there is more to this, so let me finish this part right here for you. You have this layer. This is also 1 3/4 inches, and it's 5 1/4 inches because it's going to only cover the basic white, this lapel, so to speak, this folded back layer. So it's going to be the exact size, 1 3/4 by 5 1/4 inches, because don't forget, our back is 5 1/2 inches, but our inside is 5 1/4, just like a regular layer. Okay, so I can add that. And then I have a layer of DSP. Now, if I had the new in color DSP, that is definitely what I would use right now. I'd use one of the patterns from the cloud cover from the new in color DSP. But just like you, I couldn't get that yet. But what I could pre-order was this. So let's put that here. This, I think this is pretty close to cloud cover, right? This is the Gallery in Bloom DSP. So I am using just a piece. This is now 1 1/2 inches by 5 inches. So you can get 4 out of a sheet of DSP. So I'm going to center that and attach that, and then we'll get to the rest of the card. Doesn't matter if it's right side up, upside down, or whatever, because it's just a layer that doesn't really have any right or wrong way of any direction to it. Okay, so there we go there. Now we have to decorate the rest of our card. And one thing that I just realized that I didn't do was die cut another sun. So let me do that. This is the Spotlight on Nature. There's 2 that have these radiating edges. There's a larger one and a smaller one. I have to cut this real quick. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. Stay put. This could give you a time to go get a drink or whatever, right? So Spotlight on Nature dies. This color is Darling Duckling. Once again, I'm focusing on the new in colors this week because that's what you can get. We are going to lay this down. I'm going to glue that right to the top of the paper. Let's just glue it kind of like right there. And then what I'm going to do is take my stamp again of my birds, and I'm going to stamp my birds. I think I'm going to stamp them in Memento. So let me do that here. I've got my Memento ink. I've got everything here. What a disaster, right? I'm going to stamp my birds. Stamp one kind of right there. Stamp another one down here. Kind of like that in front of our sun. And then I'm going to put this away for a second because what we want to do next is stamp our water. Remember, we stamped the Azure Afternoon water on the bottom of the card. I'm going to use the same stamp, this stamp, and I'm going to stamp it with Pool Party because I don't have cloud cover. So we're going to use Pool Party, which is not the same, but probably the closest in color right now for what we need. I think Misty Moonlight would be way too dark. And what I'm going to do is stamp, and it's not going to completely cover the card because this is meant to cover a 4 by 5 1/4 inch base, I believe. This is probably only about 4 inches wide. I've got my puddle that I was talking about. I can't wait to show you how I use that. So just hang tight, and I'm going to show you something in a minute. Anyway, we're going to stamp a couple of these off here. Let's do it like right there. And then maybe what I'll do is do this one like upside down that way. There we go. Ta-da. So this is stamped in Pool Party. The next thing that I did, because it's a sunny day, and what happens when the sun reflects on the water, it glistens, right? So voila, we have to bring out our Wink of Stella. So what I'm doing is coloring in between these lines. I'm not coloring the lines, I'm coloring in between the lines all the way, all over the paper. I don't know if you could see that. This is probably getting a little bit dry. My poor Wink of Stella, I use it all the time. We're just gonna go like this. We're gonna go like that. I'm kind of squeezing it, but I'm afraid I'm going to get a blob. So I had meant to keep it in between the lines, but we're going to have to start a new one. But you see how it shines? Isn't that so cool? So next, what I'm going to do, I have here one of the dies that's part of this set. Actually, let me show you all of these dies. We have here a large sailboat base. And then we have a small sailboat base. For the next card, we're going to use the small sailboat, so I'll put that away. But this one, I used the large sailboat base, and then there's a large set of sails and a small set of sails. And then I ended up, there's another, yeah, okay, I don't know. Maybe there was an extra piece of paper. Anyway, never mind. Don't pay any attention to me. I cut this, the base of the sailboat, out of basic black. And then what I'm going to do is attach my basic white sail, and they kind of give us a guide of where to glue this. We're going to glue it right on this left sail. And that's why the sail is left there, because it's going to give us something to glue to. So I'm going to do it just like that. And be careful, because this is kind of delicate. I wouldn't hold it by the base if you can help it, because that'll break off or rip off, and then you've got bigger problems, right? I'm going to attach this. I'm going to kind of have it in the water, kind of in front of the sun, and we're going to, you guessed it, pop it up. So I'm going to do this off camera because, yep, I use some scrap paper. There's always two sides to a sheet of paper, right? So I use some scrap paper to do my die cutting, because nobody is going to see the other side of it. So don't ever throw away your paper. If you've got one open areas on your scrap paper, by all means, keep it and use it. The reason I had such a hard time coming up with what to do today really was primarily because we're in between catalogs. You can order tomorrow, but you don't have this stamp set, but maybe you'll put it on your list after you watch this Facebook Live. I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to take my mini and I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm going to attach that, hopefully. The plan is to attach that right here to my sailboat base, if I can. I mean, there's so little of the dimensional there. Is it going to let me take it off? This is probably, I didn't really cut it in half. That's the problem. That's why it's giving me such a hard time, because the other half is on my finger, and that's like 2/3. So you see that there? That's why one side is peeling off and the other side not so much. Okay, so this is just what we're going to do. I'm going to put this here. Let's flip this over, and we're going to, like I said, there's no marker for this. There's no stamp for the sails here. You know, if I had an adhesive eraser, I'd get rid of some of those marks, because that's what that is. That's adhesive. So I'll get to that in a little bit. But there we go. There is our sailboat. Not attached straight. We can, there we go. Beautiful. I actually have decided I want to stamp one more bird over here. And then the other thing that comes in this stamp set, yep, I really am all over the place, guys. So sorry. The other thing that comes in the stamp set is a cloud. And I was going to tuck the cloud behind, but do you ever see the sun in front of the clouds? For the most part, the sun is behind the cloud. So once again, let me get my mini dimensionals, since that's all I have here. I will be much more prepared next week, hopefully. There we go. And we're going to pop that up and put that right there, just like that. Ta-da! The last thing that I want to do is stamp congratulations. And I'm going to stamp that with Memento because I want to make sure it's nice and crisp. I could stamp it in anything, but because I've got Memento, the black ink here anyway, the Memento will work. So let me stand up so I'm over top of it. And hopefully that's stamped straight. Not terrible. Could be worse. Let me tell you what, I'm going to show you what I used inside my card. So I'm going to stamp the inside too, because I really, really love how I use this, and you'll see what I mean. I have here, you deserve the best. So whatever it is, you're saying congratulations, you deserve the best, right? So let me stand up, and then I can't wait to show you what I did. I didn't show you the inside of the card. We're going to take the pool party, and remember we used our water ink, this one right here. And I'm going to stamp it under here. And you know why I decided to do that? You know how when you get, first of all, it needed something there. But second of all, it's almost like the exclamation point here, isn't it? You know how you underline things to make a point? Well, I'm using the water to underline it and make my point. So I hope you like that idea. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do is attach this to my front. I'm going to add the adhesive to this flap here. I'm not going to add it to here because, first of all, I'm not going all the way to the edge because I want it to line up just like that. So hopefully this is going to, I need to burnish this a little bit better with my bone folder. Just like that. Okay. And what we're going to do is add the adhesive. I've got my green glue. We call it green because of the lid, not because it comes out green, by the way. You've probably heard that before. Okay. Ta-da. Now what I want to do is close my card, and I am going to line it up just by closing my card and lining up the edges. It should perfectly attach. And ta-da, our Unique Gatefold card is right there. So the last thing I'm going to do when I finish this is get rid of the adhesive on the edge because I've got some glue on my mat that I need to get rid of. But anyway, here's the card again. Oh, I didn't pop up the congratulations. Well, you get the idea. I'm going to add that when I get rid of my adhesive. I'm going to pop up congratulations at the bottom. And that is Timid Tiger. And that gives it just a little bit more color. So Darling Duckling, Cloud Cover, and Timid Tiger I've used on this card. Ta-da! Okay, let's get to the third card. And to me, that's the most fun. You're going to love this. And what I did with this one is just like on this card, where I showed you all the colors, I am going to do that again on my layer and just on a regular card. So here's the card. Isn't that so pretty? So it's got all the colors. We've got Secret Sea, Darling Duckling, Timid Tiger, Strawberry Slush, and the last one is Cloud Cover. And I told you I was going to show you how I did the cloud cover. So let's get to this card next. I decided instead of doing it on black, even though the black is striking, who ever heard of a black sea, right? Well, except for the Black Sea, I just realized, but that's not what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to use the Secret Sea instead, blue water instead of black water. And I use the Soft Waves embossing folder. That's not the same as this one. See, I'm using two different embossing folders. The Soft Waves carried over from last year, and I'm just going to attach that because it needed a little something on the front besides just these layers. So I'm going to just glue that down. I've already embossed it. It's a 3D folder. You need a fair amount of adhesive because of a 3D folder, because it kind of finds its way into all the nooks and crannies. But let me attach that here. And yep, if you see this, I did squeeze out to the bottom. I'm going to need my adhesive eraser for that as well. So there we go. Okay. Let me set that aside. And now what we're going to do is do our coloring with our blending brushes. So once again, where did I put, well, here is a piece. Yeah, I guess this is what I was using. We're going to get all of our inks and all of our blending brushes here. Good thing I left them over at the table, because it's kind of hard to do that without them, right? So we don't need this. Melon Mambo got in there because I used it to hold my cover of my Stamparatus today. We need Secret C. Okay, we don't need the white. We don't need the Memento yet. We need Secret C, and we need Cloud Cover yet. Okay, here's Secret C. And I will show you what we're going to do for Cloud Cover when we get to it, okay? So I've got all of my brushes, all of them. So I've got my Strawberry Slush. I can tell this is red, that's yellow, that's orange, this is blue. And this one is going to be used for my Cloud Cover. I decided to get a new brush for that one. So let's open first Secret C. And what I'm going to do off the thing, I'm going to just add some color to the bottom, just like that. Perfect. I don't need to do any more than that. I could, but I don't need to, so I'm not going to. The next color we're going to do is Darling Duckling. So let's get our yellow. I've got my brush with yellow right here, Darling Duckling. And again, I like to dab off because I don't want concentrated color. I just want it pretty even across, right? So I'm going to go into the blue a little bit and then up a little bit. And that's all we need to do for our Darling Duckling. See what we're doing? It's more like a sunset now instead of sunrise, I think. Next, we're going to do Timid Tiger. And we're going to take our orange blending brush. This is why you need a bunch of brushes, because I'm going to go like that, just like that, down into the yellow a little bit, just like that. Okay, let me put that off to the side. We're done with that because I'm going to run out of room if I do too much more. Now I need Strawberry Slush. This is our pink. So now we're getting all of our in colors in here, right? I've got my red or my pink blending brush here. I don't want, oh, see, that's a little bit more than I wanted. Oh, well. Oh, well. I'm going to go just like that, down into the orange and a little bit to the top, just like that. I'm not a perfect blender, but you see what I'm doing. And now you are waiting to see, how am I going to do Cloud Cover? Because I don't have the Cloud Cover ink pad, right? Well, I figured out a way to do it. I have here a block, and I have the Cloud Cover marker. So what I'm going to do, and it might take a few times, but I'm just going to color my block. And I'm going to pick it up with my, just like that. I'm just picking up all the ink that I can. Put this off to the side because I think I need it again. I'm going to go right here. And I'm going to add a little bit of blue for Cloud Cover. I need more than that. So we're going to do it again. Do it as often as you need to until you get your color. You can see it starting to come. When we have our ink refill, we can do it that way too, but you can see a little bit of blue. It's not perfect. It's just a little bit. I can't figure out any other way to add cloud cover here so that we can have this ink here. There we go. There we go. Now you can see it a little bit. So that's the cloud cover right at the top. You can see it a little bit better when I hold it up off the white paper. So we've got our color right there. And the reason I did Secret C so much at the bottom is because we are going to stamp our water. So once again, I'm going to take my water stamp and I'm going to use Secret C to stamp that. And the reason I'm using Secret C is because my card base is Secret C, right? So this is obviously going to be more than I need, but I'm just going to do right there, just like that. And then let's take our, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, our layer of water, just like that. We're going to stamp that right there. Okay, and hopefully I don't make a big mess because I haven't cleaned any of these stamps. Okay. What I'm going to do next, now that I've done that, do I have any more pieces of my, oh, I've got the, right here, I've got this. I'm going to attach this over here. But what I need next, and I don't know where I put it, gee, what a surprise. It's got to be here. I had all the pieces. I need to add the sailboat. And I'm going to stamp the sentiment. So, well, let me stamp the sentiment first, and then maybe I'll find the sailboat, and maybe I won't. But you'll know that that's the part that's missing yet. We have a great sentiment stamp, and it says, I'm in the wrong basket. It says, "You're destined for great things." And that's a nice piece to put off here on the side. I'm going to stamp it with Memento because I want it to be nice and crisp. So let's do that. You're destined for great things. Let's stand up so we stamp it straight. Just like that. Nice and crisp. I love that. And then we need to stamp our birds. So let's stamp our birds. You know what? I think I'm going to stamp the birds in Secret C. Yeah, I truly do have a whole disaster going on here. But I'm going to attach this and I'm going to stamp the birds in Secret C. So here's my Secret C. Secret C is like a dark navy. If you put it next to navy, though, it's closer to black than it is to navy. But what we're going to do is stamp our birds. I like how I stamped it, so I'm going to do the same thing. Kind of like that. And then we're going to put another one down here. And then hopefully I'm going to find my sailboat. I have a big sailboat here, but I wanted a little sailboat. I told you I would. This one is too big, but that's what it's essentially going to look like. So this, let me glue it. Where in the world did I put my little sailboat? I don't want to take the time to die cut it, but I told you that there's a big sailboat and a little sailboat with big top sails and little top sails. You'll see. We're going to go like this, and we're going to put it on our front just like this. It's not a fancy fold card. It's a regular card, but put that layer there. And then imagine that this is your little sailboat. I'm not going to glue it down because it's way too big, I think, for this card. But that's what I wanted it to look like. Oh, you know, I know where it is. I know exactly where it is. I left it in my envelope. I looked for it before. I'm like, where is that sailboat. And then I saw it in the envelope. Okay, I cut it out of Secret Sea. So let's do that real quick. We're going to add some. As soon as I realized it was Secret Sea, I realized exactly where I left it. So this one we're going to attach over the sail just like that. Glue it together just like that. I like to slide it down a little bit because I don't like I don't like the big gap there. And then we're going to, once again, you got it, we're going to pop it up. Let's just pop it up real quick with some dimensionals, just so you can get the whole idea of the card that I'm doing. And if you're coming to class either Thursday or Saturday or Monday, it'll be Saturday morning or Monday, this is the card you're going to make. These are all the cards you're going to make, but I'm going to finesse them so you are going to love them. Here we go. Isn't that so pretty? I really like it with the Timid Tiger and Secret Sea. That really goes together. I like it better than the black, even though I do like the black. Like I said, whoever heard of black water, right? Black sea, that's what I said. But here we go. So that's card number 1. This is card number 2, but I decided to make it an easel card, so we did it like that. And card number 3 is right here, our Unique Gatefold card. So there you go. I hope I did justice to the stamp set. I want to do some brighter cards yet. We definitely need some brighter cards. You want to see my trifold arch card one more time before I go? This is where I put together, I found 3 cards on Facebook. I loved these cards. I made them into that, but alas, it's like doing 3 cards. So 3 cards in one, it would just take too long. So I can give you directions if you'd like. I can tell you that I used the largest arch and then the 2 sizes down for this arch. And then I put it together. If you want to do it, I put it together. Oh, it got wet there. This is 11 inches by 2.5 inches, and I scored it at 3.5 inches from each side. And that gave me a 4-inch middle right here. And then I just attached them just like that. Anyway, okay, we're going to say goodbye. Let me flip back and say goodbye. I love that you joined me today. Please let me know if you used it on replay. If you have any suggestions for future classes, please let me know, because you know I am always struggling to figure out what I am going to do next time. But so join me next Monday at 5 o'clock, and we're all going to be surprised at what I make. Thank you. Thank you. I'll see you next week. Make sure you keep stamping. Bye.